going on, everybody? Welcome to Rust Belt Builds. Here we are back with our second Rust Belt review. Today we have a 2018 Kia Stinger 2-liter turbo. Let's get straight into it.
I'm taking over on this one. I'm a little bit more educated on these engines and the whole platform. So this is the same exact 2.0 that is in the Sonatas and the Optimas. However, there's a few differences between the two engines, being that this one makes a little bit less power, I think like 20 horsepower difference. And I think that's due to the turbo setup and the amount of boost they run, economy purposes, stuff like that. So pretty much the same engine, I think it's just revised a little bit. They make like 255 horsepower stock and like, I think 260 feet-pounds of torque. So not too bad. They are still quick, even though they only have the 2.0 turbo in this trim. But what makes it so fast is the 8-speed transmission behind it. So it's a dual clutch transmission, and I hear they're pretty aerodynamic cars for a sedan. So they're pretty neat. So the most familiar Stinger is the 3.3, which is the V6. Those things hurt some feelings. So the only mods looks like that is done to this car is a K&N Typhoon intake. Very common intake for these engines. Probably like the best priced one, and they work really well. They're a true cooled air system, since you obviously see it has an enclosed space. Drilled and soldered rotors. Less wear. Better stopping power. And that's pretty much it. So pretty much almost a bone stock Stinger. Alright, so as far as reliability on these engines, they're actually super reliable. I mean, most 4-cylinder turbo engines are, obviously, because they're boosted. So they have to have good rods, good pistons, and a good crankshaft. Well, these things are actually super reliable. Like, I've never seen one of these engines blow up, other than the recall that happened, but that's before the Stinger. And to note, these cooled air intakes make these turbos on these cars really loud, because the stock box that it comes with is very restrictive. So you'll hear a lot more noises under the hood of this thing with the cooled air intake, because it's coming straight off the turbo, as you can see. They're going straight to the turbo.
Alright, so we're going to go for a ride. We're going to go get some rollers, and I'm going to give my honest opinions, and Trevor might even get behind the wheel and give his honest opinions about it. So, let's go. Alright, so first impressions, we're here inside the cockpit of the Stinger. Seems to be very well built, well put together, and it's also pretty driver's oriented, I would say. Big gauge cluster, nice steering wheel. It's got paddle shifters that I didn't realize that it would have. All of your controls right here are pretty nice, and everything's kind of pointed at you a little bit. It's very comfortable. The seats are firm, but they're not hard, if that makes sense. And yeah, I'd say I like it a lot. The sound system seems to be good. Pretty comfortable ride, and it's also quiet from the inside on the outside road noise and all that stuff. But we're here, we're gonna get some gas, and then we are going to go test it out. Well, it definitely is not slow. Nothing like the Camaro now. But the transmission is really fast. It is lightning fast, I'd say. You said it's an 8-speed dual clutch. 8-speed dual clutch. Pretty fast shifts. There's no delay. As soon as you touch it, it's going. Alright, my friends, we're gonna dig. Rear wheel drive, traction control off, sport mode. And that's that's about it. I'm gonna wait for that light to turn red, and then we're gonna Here we go. It's definitely not slow. I'd say, I mean, that was 60 miles an hour. I like it. It sounds cool. Turbo sounds good, and I think that if it had an exhaust, it would really complement it. Plus, it would, you know, waken it up a little bit. Plus, the tunes for these cars are limitless. I mean, this is the same motor platform pretty much that was in Trevor's Optima in the other review video. So it's not like this is a brand new motor platform that there is no tunes for. There's a wide aftermarket for these motors. Because there was a lot of hype for the Stinger when it first came out, so there's a lot of aftermarket for it. And even a stage 1 tune would wake this thing up and probably double the acceleration. Just wanted to point out that the car handles really well. It's super direct. There's almost no steering input, like 2 fingers in the whole car. There's no slack in the wheel, there's no lash. It's just going wherever you point it. And it rides really well. For being a stock ride height and a stock suspension, I mean, it absorbs bumps, you don't even feel them. Here in Ohio, we have disgusting potholes that for some reason I just keep paying taxes and they just never get fixed. But yeah, it eats those up like Rice Krispies on a Saturday night, and feels good. It's very luxurious, and I'd say it's definitely a good buy, even if you're just going to get the base model like this one. It's still pretty quick, and there's a lot you can do to them. Alright, so driving it for about 15 minutes. I'm kind of impressed so far, especially with the potential that it already has in the aftermarket. Just driving it up and down the road a little bit, just kind of laying into it with the paddle shifters. It definitely is quick, and you can really feel how much is being held back. I will say that. You can feel how much is being held back, and you can tell it's in the exhaust. I don't even know how to explain that if you're not really a car guy, if you haven't driven a lot of different types of cars, turbo cars, NA cars. When a performance car or something that's capable of making a lot of horsepower, and then you just shove a cork on it, like a restrictive exhaust or a restrictive intake, you can tell. I know that you agree with me, but you can just tell that it has much more to it. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed. If I owned this car personally, I would be excited because I know that there's so much stuff that you can do to it to make it so much faster, and it makes it fun to drive when there's a turbo going off in your face every time you put your foot to the floor. It's quick for what it is, and yeah, it's a whole lot more fun. It's a whole lot of fun to drive. So we're gonna go drive it some more, and we're gonna go get some more footage for you guys. So when you drive a nice, expensive luxury car like this, you must have nice, expensive luxury handguns to carry around with you in the constitutional carry state of Ohio. Fuck around and find out. So here we go, right in front of us, we have a Kia Forte GT. So this would be considered Kia on Kia crime here, but I'm gonna go ahead and place my bets with the Stinger, simply because I'm driving it. So we're gonna see if this guy wants to play around a race or something like that. We're gonna get on the highway. Let's see. Hold on, let me get up to 60. tight corner like this, it does handle really well. It holds the road pretty hard. And pulling out from the acceleration. It definitely has a lot of, or enough power to pass, and it'll get you where you need to go, and it'll probably get you a lot of speeding tickets, huh?
Yeah. Oh look, wonder who did this. Couldn't have been us.
All right, after a full hour, a little bit more of driving the 2018 Kia Stinger 2.0 Turbo, my final thoughts and opinions. It is a very nice car. I'd say it's very well built. I've heard that they're pretty easy to work on and service. As far as the power goes, the 2-liter is a little lacking. I kind of wish they would have just added more. In today's world, there's no excuses really anymore. When this car debuted, it really only debuted with the 3.3, and it was supposed to be a fast, fun sedan car. And then, you know, they kind of brought out the more affordable option, the 2-liter turbo. But you already know, like, don't release, and Mustang does this, Camaro has done this, Challenger does, you know, all these people do this. They release the base model with the smaller engine and it just lacks. So if you're gonna release a car that looks good, this car looks good, it looks great, it's got good body lines, good front ends, all that stuff. If you're gonna release a car like this that's supposed to be sports oriented, or it's a big hype to it, give it something to be hype about. Like, it's definitely not a flop. I would buy this car, but I would have to tune it. I mean, it's fun to drive now, it makes cool noises and stuff, but it's not fast. I would definitely have to throw like a stage 1 at least tune on it. It's got an intake. Definitely have to get rid of that stock exhaust. You can't even hear this thing. That being said, it is really great to drive. Perfect for road trips. My sister just brought it up here on an 18-hour road trip from Florida. And it brakes good, it steers good, it handles good, it rides good. The interior is super comfortable. All the controls are user-friendly. The stereo is good. It's a pretty looking car. They did a good job with, I'd say they did a good job overall with it. I like it. I'd buy one. You should buy one, but you should mod it. I think that's my conclusion at the end of the day, is if you're gonna have one of these, set it down a little lower, strap some stuff to the engine. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get Trevor's thoughts and opinions, and then we're gonna get my sister's thoughts and opinions.
So my take on the car is, I think they're pretty sweet. I never driven in a Kia Stinger, and I never drove one, so I can't really exactly give you a full 100% on, like, you know, the power handling, but just from the corners we were taking on the highway and just how it rolls out, they seem like a pretty good car for somebody who, like, wants to get into, I don't know, maybe like a touring luxury with a little bit of sport. Like, it has like a good combination of 3 important driving characteristics besides going fast. But still, it doesn't do too bad for a bigger car with a smaller 2.0 turbo engine. But I do agree with what Dax is saying. When you come out with like a very sporty car, and you know, your first base model package is a 2.0 turbo, but the higher up is a 3.3, like, that's a pretty big power difference between the same car. So I guess what they made up for that power loss was a nice transmission. So I'm assuming that these transmissions are tunable as well. So like he said, on stage 1, even an intake and an exhaust and a trans tune, like you'd have a pretty fast car. And I think these go for around like 28 to 30,000 range. It's all mileage dependent, but personally, if I had the 30,000 to spend, I'm more into performance, so I would have probably looked into getting maybe a higher mileage, not higher mileage, but like a mid mileage, like 50, 100K in that range of the V6 version. That's my take on it. I've done a lot of research on the V6, not V6, I guess it's I think it's an inline 6, I don't know.
It's a V6.
Is it a V6?
Yeah, I think so.
Never mind, I didn't do a bunch of research on it. Are you sure it's an inline? Is it an inline?
It's a V6, I think. I'm very sure. Twin turbo V6.
Yeah, because they put that in the Hyundai, the
Yeah.
Santa Fe,
Yeah.
which was a V6. So a few other things I might add would be the newer K5s come with a 2.5, which is a lot bigger of a power gap than, let's say, this engine or like the newer 2015 and up Optimas and Sonatas. So my idea would be, why not just put the K5 engine in this, even though it did come out later? But that would have been a good engine to put in this car, because the 2.5s make a good bit of power and they're pretty quick in the K5s. Other than that, I like it. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, and if it was mine, I would put it on stage 2 and I would send it to the moon.
Hi, so this is my Stinger. I love it so much. I got it in September of 2022, and my favorite thing about this car is how fast it is, because my older car was a Jetta, and so it's a big like difference in speed, but it's not as fast as I want it to be, but I can always tune it. I don't like the gas mileage, because in Florida gas is expensive as fuck, but that's okay. So the only things that I really want to do to it is I want to wrap it, because I hate the silver, it's ugly. I want to do like either orange or just wrap it black, or do a black trunk, hood, and or roof and hood, and then wrap the actually like sides of the car white. And then I either want to, I don't know, I want to lower it, but I don't know if I want to do bags or static. And then I'm definitely putting it on rotiforms. I love rotiforms. I probably, depending on what color I do the wrap, it'd probably be silver wheels or chrome. I like the LED taillights. I kind of want to do new headlights. Definitely darker tint. And just tune it.
Alright guys, that wraps up the Kia Stinger review, and I'll let Trevor send us out on this one.
So stay tuned, the Camaro is about to hit the track again with all the mods that we've done, including lowering the front suspension, as you guys have seen from the newsfeed post on YouTube. So like I said, stick around, keep your eyes on the channel, because the next track day video we're going to be pushing the car to its limit and getting the best time we possibly can. So,
and if you have an interesting car that you want us to review and you live in Central Ohio, hit us up on Instagram at Rust Belt Builds, or leave us a comment on YouTube, and we might travel if it's cool enough. I mean, we don't do too crazy of videos, but with your permission, we'll get down with it. So with that being said, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.